All right. We are good. What is up, everybody? Yeah, the special guest is Mr. Warren Hayes.
That's right. Can't get it. You think you could get rid of me over, you can get rid of me 5 days of the week. You can't. You just can't.
How you doing, Warren?
I'm doing really good. How are you, Pat?
Pretty good. Or the other thing would be like, what's good?
Exactly. What's good?
So, non-wrestling stuff. Did you see the tweet of the sandwich I did earlier today?
No. What? I didn't see a tweet about a sandwich.
Yeah.
What was wrong with your sandwich?
No, it's a sandwich that's out of this area. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's called a boot mill.
I'll go on your Twitter. I mean, I can do that. You know, I know how internet works.
Yeah. Well,
Throwback.
I want to save the image anyways, just in case somebody asks. And it specifically has bacon, ham, and sausage on a bulky roll with a fried egg and home fries. Around here, let me open it up in Streamlabs and I'll show it. We end up calling it a heart attack waiting to happen. So for people who want to see it, I'll add it in there.
That's something. Is that one that you made yourself, or did you gank that from the internet?
No, there's a diner that actually has that in the city I'm from.
No, I understand. But is this okay? So you didn't make it. Is this when you ordered? Did you actually consume this?
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Yeah. So I'll put this up for a second just to show people. But that is a boot mill. Now, come on, work with me, Streamlabs, one more time. So, this here is what people actually get. Now, the diner here is called Arthur's Paradise Diner, and it's a family-owned restaurant, which is great. I ended up going to get some breakfast for my sister and me. So if you ever in Lowell, Warren, or anybody in the city around Boston and go to like the city of Lowell, this is actually, yeah.
So this is something you have to eat. It's kind of like if you come around my parts. If you come around my parts and you don't have a poutine, you're doing it wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, okay. You got to think about it, It's really addicting. If you ever come up here and you live up here and you went to this high school around here, because I went to a different high school. I went to a technical school.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't admit me back into high school if I ever moved in your parts, just saying.
Well, what happened is that if you're from this area, this sandwich, the seniors in the high school, in the local public high school, would tell you if you don't eat this thing, you're going to have a rough freshman year.
Oh, okay.
So me and my buddies,
you get used to it at a young age. You're weaned into these things.
Yeah, and this diner has been owned by the family for generations. So the grandson owns it now, and it's still as great as it was. So if you're ever guys in Lowell, you need to eat this. And I'm paying the consequences now. But anyways,
you're a living cautionary tale, Pat.
There's a story before we get into the review that me and my buddies, my high school year, my senior year, we do this. We had this thing called Senior Day to Remember. So me, my buddy Chris, and my buddy Roger went down there and ordered 9 of those.
And you passed them out to the hungry and the homeless, right?
No, we consumed 3 each.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in college, my buddy Mark, for finals, we ordered 3 and 3 each, and we had a row of energy drinks lined up. It looked like I was at a bar at a Shots. Speaking of bars, but yeah, literally that's how we got through finals for like a whole semester, just knocking down energy drinks and eating that sandwich.
So like the sandwich would put you to sleep, but then you'd use the energy drinks to wake you up, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. But anyways, so what we got today was going to do the general stuff, talk about NXT. I have Warren here to talk about New Japan. considering he is the expert of New Japan. Also going to talk about what's coming down the pike for next month, considering this is the last week of July. And then, we got SummerSlam and NXT around the corner, so we'll talk about that as well and see what we can see foreshadowing ahead of time. Regal's announcement. So what did you think of that off the bat? I know you were on with Alex and...
I loved his announcement. His announcement was that he was giving Keith Lee some time to speak. Mwah, perfect. I loved it. Fantastic.
It was encrypted.
Best announcement ever.
It was very encrypted, too, because of the tweet that he put out. Everybody thought he was leaving.
Well, yes, it was very cryptic. But I thought it was funny because it wasn't even his statement. Because literally he said, he came on and he said, "Hello, everyone. I'm William Regal, and I would like to give some time to our North American champion, NXT champion, Keith Lee, who has a word." I'm like, oh, this is your statement, William? This was it. Okay. Good. And then Keith Lee does his thing.
Yeah. So in the chat, just going to say hi to everybody quick. What up, Jeff? What up, Joel? Robbie Rob,
what up?
Ivar of the show. What up, Sean, Jeff,
what up?
Patel.
What up?
Your arch nemesis.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have an arch nemesis.
Oh, yeah? Begins with the letters D, G, M, C.
I barely know who that person is.
Sure you do. We need justice. Anyways, Regal's announcement about giving Lee the time for the North American title, that he was stepping down to give it a clout for everybody to do what they're supposed to, try to earn the opportunity, was an amazing idea. It stunk because of the fact that everybody thought Lee would go, instead of one match, go a couple. Mm-hmm. But it made more sense because if he's taking up both titles, it's not a lot of opportunity. So... But Loomis and Dane, oh my God. What literally, to quote JR, what a slobber knocker.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, freaking anything Loomis does is insane, just how he acts. Mm-hmm. But the match, you put Killian Dane in, it literally, you've got two guys who could beat the crap out of each other, and you just sit back and like, that's interesting. Dane takes control right off the bat, and Loomis is focused. He kind of reminds me of Orton at a younger age, because true. Orton is starting to go back and push around and stuff. It was interesting. Match was
it's especially weird when you consider that he's 36.
Yeah,
that Loomis at 36 reminds you of a young Randy Orton.
I know, right? Well, I mean, Orton's closing in on his mid 40s, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, he is younger than Orton.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, Loomis is actually showing how much pain tolerance he can take. The spine buster, straight right. That right was loud. That was a deafening right. Right. A couple of pin combinations, the cannonball by Dane. The spot where at the elbow, but, Loomis is staying on top of everything, and these guys are literally beating the crap out of each other. I looked at that spot with the senton, like it's got the swanton kind of thing combination with this, what they're calling it on commentary, the silence. It was interesting because it kind of reminds you of what we're going to talk about later with one of the other matches too. But what was your perspective on this match, and also what was your perspective on Dane possibly taking the Cassius Ohno spot for the company, where he's leveling up people and stuff?
He's definitely the gatekeeper. He's clearly moving into the Cassius Ohno spot. That's not even a question. I thought the match was fine. It didn't get me excited. I love Dexter Loomis as a character. I really, really do. I think it's extremely compelling what they do with him, how they're able to straddle that line with comedy at the same time. I think it's great. I really, really think it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the triple threat this week, because he is in there with some top tier talent. Really looking forward to see what he can uncork. Not that he's a bad wrestler. He's good at what he does. I don't think we've seen, or at least I don't know if we've seen what Dexter Loomis truly has to offer. kind of feel like a triple threat with Finn Balor and Timothy Fight Pit Thatcher might be the kind of match that'll bring it out of him. I don't know, but the match was fine. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing wrong about it, but I was kind of like, okay, we're good, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, with Loomis, I think he's not gonna come out of that 3-person match because they're gonna angle with Balor towards that. But that's for another story for next week.
Sure.
But Ono is in that spot regardless. You know, with
Dane.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying Ono was in that spot regardless.
Oh, it was, yes.
And now Dane's taken there. The triple threat promo for the show, for the whole thing, basically highlighted that. But the Dakota Kai promo, holy crap. The line where she says, as soon as you can get the taste returned right to your mouth, I was just like, and they replayed the kick in different angles on there, was interesting.
Oh, she's good. She's good at what she does. There's nothing you can say. I think Dakota Kai is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, it's interesting too because of her Twitch program. It's two different, obviously, people, but it's fun to see how she's a hardcore gamer, and a hardcore nerd gamer, and a hardcore wrestling geek too. So everybody can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
What do you think about being a Canadian about the Mountie whole thing with the Breezango kind of thing?
I was offended. Super offended. Look how offended I am just that you bringing it up. I'm going to start flipping pens. There you go. That's how offended I am. Well, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. That Breezango's gimmick is fantastic in NXT right now. Coming out with just being stupid, it's fantastic. It actually makes me miss the Fashion Files a lot more when I see them come out and being so good at just being ridiculous like that. I wish they'd have more time for it, actually.
Yeah. It was interesting. My sister was all happy because she found out Fandango was from Maine. That's part of New England.
What, does she think she's going to run into him?
You never know. I mean, she was curious about, Lorcan, but I'll explain that later. Martel is, screaming defense inside the crowd. Breeze drills him with a kick. There's tags going in and out between both teams. Breeze basically gets into the plexiglass. Parker and Martel are in control for a good chunk, but Fandango changes the complexity of it all. The Mountie dive was a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the double super kick and Breezango wins. It was a really good show, though, for that match.
It was an absolutely acceptable tag team match with a very clear-cut winner. I'm looking forward to when they're going to leave our boys Parker and Matthews, or Martel and what do they call them? Martel and Parker. Yeah, that's it. Martel and Parker. When they're going to let them uncork, because 3.0, the team, as they were referred to on the indie circuit here in Canada, they were really, really good. They're friends with Kevin Owens. These guys can go. I hope that they're not stuck in jabroni land forever, because I can tell you one thing, as far as tag team goes, they are much, much better than Indu Share. I can attest to that.
That whole division itself in tag team and NXT is a lot stronger. Hence why I say that even though they're... I don't think the tag team division is that good. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you, host of the show. I don't think the tag team division in NXT right now is all that great. Name me 3 big tag teams right now. Right now, you got, if you want to put these two together, Roderick and Fish. Strong and Fish.
Okay.
All right. You've got Breezango.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have Phantasma. You have the 2 guys from Phantasma if they start like they have been.
But I wouldn't call them a big tag team. I don't think the tag team division right now in NXT is as deep as it. Like, there really was a time where in NXT the tag team division was an attraction, when you had the Revival and you had American Alpha, and then you followed up with Sanity, and then you had AOP, and then in the meantime you had and then Undisputed Era popped their little noses in there at some point. Then you had DIY. Those were some fantastic, absolutely fantastic times where the Dusty Cup was really like It was nail biting and exciting.
You even
Right
had
now,
Finn and Joe also too before
and you
they
had
started.
Finn and Joe, exactly, who actually won the first Dusty Cup, if memory serves me right. Right now, I don't feel like tag team wrestling in WWE right now is anything to cry home about. They're trying on SmackDown, God bless their hearts, but Imperium are the tag team champions right now. We haven't seen them. I mean, you could easily assume that one of the two guys or both guys are sick, which would be fair to assume at this point while we haven't seen them on TV. But I'm not excited by the NXT tag division right now. It's been much deeper with much better tag teams than what we have right now.
I kind of have like an outlook further for it. I mean, you got Oni also, tagging too.
Oni and Birch, yeah, but they've been around forever together, and then they split them apart, bring them back. It's like whenever it's convenient for them, they're going to bring them back together, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, if they keep them strong, that's great. But that time will only tell. So this whole meme that keeps going and doesn't die, the one I'm talking about, right?
The one that I'm not dead.
No,
that meme?
No,
because that one won't go away.
Well, I'll talk about the promo with Dijak, which I'm ecstatic.
I know.
I mean, before we get into the whole meme, but it's interesting that how much, like I said last week with Rob, how much of a hotbed Massachusetts is for talent, New England in general. And I know some people have a hard time pronouncing where Dijakovic's from. It's not Worcester, it's Worcester. Mm-hmm. So we get people who come here asking, can I get to Worcester? Yeah, no.
No, you can't.
No.
I don't know where that is.
Well, I mean, a lot of people want me to make a video on that stuff. I will eventually. So, you'll get learning. Other than that, the meme with Aaliyah, Robert Stone, and Shotzi is awesome. And he gets run over again. This match was, if I had to rate it, it'd probably be a 2 out of 5. But, with Aaliyah's work, it's getting better. And it's a long process.
What was it? A German? She did a German, hung on to it, then floated into Northern Lights, right?
Yeah.
Or is it the other way around?
She got into a Northern Lights.
That was really good. That was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn, she's been in NXT for like 11 million years. I hope she's starting to improve.
Yeah. And DHC's like, say Southie. And there's also talk about the chat if my sister's Beth Phoenix. No, she's not. You could actually see pictures of her on my Facebook. But the funny part of commentary mentioning Chuck E. Cheese because Shotzi comes out screaming ball pit. Welcome to the ball pit. But Shotzi was in majority of it, control. The diving senton ends it for Shotzi, but the aftermath is what is more key. And it helps out later with the story. So Martinez and Shotzi, huh? That's going to happen.
I am 100% okay with that. One, because Shotzi needs to move away from fighting Aaliyah. That's good. And this is going to be a great match because Shotzi's been around the block. She's a strong lady who knows how to fight. And Mercedes Martinez is just awesome, man.
Mercedes is, if you put her and Baszler in a ring, yeah.
Which has happened before. And they've even been in a stable together. I mean, it's fantastic. Look, we're getting Shotzi versus Mercedes Martinez. You got to be excited about that. That's going to give us something good, of course, if they give us time. But if they let the women fight, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, let them go.
Tier match.
Or you could better way is you talked about the fight pit. Put both of them in the fight pit. That'd be good.
Put everyone in the fight pit.
Have a good night, Jeff. By the way. Other than that, the triple threat match, qualifying match was pretty good.
Pretty good.
It was pretty good, but for like them talking about it beforehand. But the Swerve Scott promo about how he mentions music and stuff like that is part of it.
I swear, I thought I was convinced that he was going to say at some point, I like to have fun. I was sure 100% that's what we were leaning into. Because it felt like, oh, this guy likes to have fun kind of thing. And I'm like, It was fine though. I like how what it leaned into. Uh, it turned out that it was a cool promo. I was just a little, I was a little anxious at first when it started.
Well, do you think he's better off to stay in the cruiserweight division or go for the North American title after going after Gargano and showing how strong of a showing he had at that point?
I think, I think this guy has, you know, I don't think the cruiserweight title is his ceiling. I think he's too good. But you know, we know how WWE always ends up treating its lighter gentlemen. So if he can erase the stigma of being in the cruiserweight division, because unfortunately that's what it is. That's what it's. You know, you do some time on 205 Live, you're considered a cruiserweight, then you suddenly can't mess with the big boys, which is weird because Finn Balor is technically a cruiserweight, but that's never been a problem, right? It's never impacted him. But then again, he's never been on 205 Live.
Look at Gargano
Correct.
too.
Johnny Gargano as well, absolutely correct. So, so as far as Swerve goes, yeah, let him have shots at the heavyweight belts. He's done it before. He's done it all over the independent circuit. Absolutely. North American title, world title, all the titles.
So Bronson, huh? Very, very big boy. Very, very big boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is going to be, as much as you gave me grief about trying to hint it, I was talking about the little segment they were talking about it. But this match was just killer. And I literally, you'll hear me say the one word nobody's heard me say on this show, which is going to be awesome. Gargano and Strong basically take full advantage and focus on Reed. You know, Reed showing mostly of his power, turning the tables on him. The chops from Reed and Strong and Gargano in this was deadly. You could hear they were deafening. The Olympic Slam, Strong tried getting on Bronson the first time, didn't happen. You know, he's literally a big boy, and they had to double team him. There was no way of getting around that. You know, Gargano and Strong, like I said, chopping the hell out of each other. They're working really good together at certain points, but that catapult, I literally was like, ooh.
The one in the groin?
Ooh.
That one?
That they hit a home run and hit him in the baseballs right there.
There you go.
Hi-yo.
Like that one too.
You know, they're going back and forth. The springboard spear was really nice. I know Gargano does it on a regular basis, but the angles on the camera were really good. Reed basically takes over. That bionic elbow he does is exactly mirror image of Dusty. If you look at it different on the cameras, it's just in really good spot for him to do. But he, being the guy his size, he kind of reminds me of Keith Lee running around like a freight train when he gets going. He's in full control, hits the senton, couple of pin attempts from back and forth. Gargano basically putting his stronghold in the match. You know, Reed's got the stopping the count. The match is freaking amazing. He finally hits the Olympic Slam, and Gargano almost steals the pin, and Reed kicks out. You know, Strong hits the backbreaker. You know, you got a lot of bit of halfway through this match with Strong and Gargano trying to one-up each other, but for a big boy, he can launch himself. That's for damn sure. Reed's going in mind-blowing. There's a couple of 2 counts. That spot, the John Cena spot that everybody calls it, Reed putting Gargano and Strong and doing the Samoan drop, that was a nice touch. The chops still going left and right, counters left and right. That powerbomb that Gargano hit with the help of Strong with the knee, that looked bad. That looked like it was a hardcore bump right there. Just these guys were going at it. I think the match was like 15 minutes or so, right around that ballpark, 15, 20 minutes. But the final beat, Reed wins, and this is the word people are going to make fun. And if you want to record this, I don't care. That was a monster drop right there. You got to hit that monster drop. But it was an amazing match overall. If the latter half match didn't happen, this would have been the match of the night.
I still think it's the match of the night, personally.
But I can
yeah.
disagree because
Sure, we can disagree.
The thing with me is, and I think if he's still in the room, get a little bit of happy for Sean, which is the rematch with Thatcher and Lorcan. Basically, that was just another technical masterpiece. That was like two people. You quoted Loomis about all the artistic stuff he does. This was literally a wrestling clinic. So,
I are we going to talk? Do you want we talk about the triple threat before we move into Thatcher and Lorcan?
We already did.
Let's. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the triple threat was my match of the night. And good on NXT for pushing a new guy like they did with Bronson. I think it's such a good idea. And I mean, if you get a guy old and make him look like $1 million, the smartest thing to do was to put him in the same ring as with, first of all, two of the stalwarts of the division, two of the strongest guys in the division, in the brand. That's what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. Being Gargano and Strong, who sold their asses off for him. It was fantastic. Everything about this match clicked. It was so well paced, so well put together. Bronson looks like $1 million. Now moving forward in the tournament for the tag title, for the North American title, like, you know what, this guy has a chance. I believe this guy might just spoil it because that was a hell of a show he put on.
Yeah, and it's the right move at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think so too. Yeah, because they need some new people. They really need some new people up there.
Well, the Thatcher Lorcan, like I said, it was a clinic. Not to go in specifics, this literally, like I said, this is an SRS match all the way through. Like just the styles between these two, literally. Mm-hmm. The Boston boy hung in there until the end, basically. So, but the question I wanted to ask you, instead of going to specifics, because obviously these two can go, is do you think Thatcher could hang in UFC?
Oh, definitely. What? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all ultimately going to boil down to conditioning, right? Because usually that's what it comes down to. But I mean, he could twist people into anything he wanted. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the bow and arrow was a really good spot.
Oh, and I loved it. And then he transitioned into a pinning combination. Yeah. If I'm not, yeah, that was fantastic.
These guys literally striking each other. Thatcher's chest looked like a freaking red popsicle. It just literally hit hard. They're going move for move and stuff, which is really good. It's also, from their first match, it's also a continuation of how everything is if they went at least 25 to 30 minutes more. Mm-hmm. And it would have been just counter after counter after counter, which is awesome. It's literally a chess match. But Thatcher steals the win because of the fact that he grabs the tights. And
did he steal it, or was he just a little smarter that time?
I think he stole it. So
I don't think he stole it, because I honestly, I think the story of the match was how well matched they were between the both of them, because they were able to counter in and out of stuff. And Lorcan locked in that arm lock, right? Just would not let go. And Thatcher tried to squirm his way out of it. Lorcan wasn't having it. He wasn't letting go. He was really deeply sunk in. So Thatcher was like, "Oh yeah, okay, this is last ditch effort." Rolls over so that Lorcan's shoulders are on the mat. Ref counts to 3. Pressure of the bodies made it so that Lorcan couldn't release the hold on time. I don't think it was a steal. I think it was very, very smartly executed, because that was literally the story of the match.
I still think they stole it, because the way Oni had it, if they didn't get into that pinning combination, you never know. With that hurt arm, he could have won it.
But that's of course, it's not. That's not stealing. Then it's not like getting a belt shot while the ref's head is turned. That's the thing. That's the thing with Thatcher, is that he was just better than Oni right then and there. And then it gives us a reason to want another match, because it's like, well, maybe this time, even though Thatcher is he's 2-0 over Lorcan right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be Oni's turn next time, because they're that. It was a razor thin mistake that Lorcan made. upon which Thatcher was able to capitalize. It's not like, it's like I said, it's not like Thatcher held the ropes or used the ropes for leverage or whatever. It's just like, oopie doop. Yes,
Well,
you just messed up just that fraction of a second there, Oni. Sorry, pal.
Well, I'm being a homer, so just let me have that set up. So what do you think? Obviously, Thatcher's going to be in the triple threat, but what do you think's next for Oni?
Oh, fight pit with Thatcher. This ain't over. We're going to the fight pit.
The whole promo with Stone, we already talked about Shotzi and Martinez, but do you think WWE putting her with Stone is the right move?
Putting Mercedes Martinez with Stone?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way that they're going to do it makes sense. If she's like, you're my manager, but by name only, I don't want to see your face. Like, I don't think Robert Stone is going to come to ringside. Like, I think this is just like she was clear. It's like, you want to fill out my paperwork and do all the stuff that I hate to do? Fine. I'm your girl, but you stay out of my stuff. So ultimately, I think it's going to be like a by association kind of thing. But as long as you keep Mercedes Martinez away from goofy gimmicks and shitty finishes due to interference by the manager, I'm okay.
I kind of have a feeling, and this is just fantasy booking right here, that once Io's done with Dakota, who do you think they have next lined up for her?
Rhea.
Really? Mm-hmm. I think if they're going to really push new blood like they did with Bronson, I think Martinez should try to be in a triple threat just to get a chance.
I think ultimately, I think your long-term match is Rhea as champion and Mercedes as challenger. I think that's a money match right there for the women's division.
That would actually set up a takeover that you could probably throw somewhere.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, it is like it's top tier. It's top tier, and there's a great story to tell. Like, we haven't seen Rhea in a couple of weeks. I think they're cooling her down properly. And I would definitely see her come back at some point, a surprise return, and maybe give her a couple of fools to beat up. But I think she's the one who goes after Shirai. I think she wins the belt, and then we move on to Rhea versus Mercedes, which is another dream match of mine at this stage.
Well, what's going to happen is that Dakota and Io are going to be at TakeOver 30, and then at the end of it, Dakota loses. Obviously, they're going to keep Io strong.
I think so.
Rhea comes in and knocks her block, so that could happen.
Maybe, but they don't usually do that kind of angle at takeovers. However, I say that NXT doesn't usually do this kind of stuff, but then NXT has been doing a lot of the stuff that I don't think they usually do. So I'm not going to stick my neck out for them like I used to.
Let's put it that way. Kind of off on them. They don't usually do that. They did it with Adam Cole when he came in.
No, that's it. But they don't usually do it. They did it like 3 years ago with Cole. It's not like something they do every pay-per-view. I'm not saying they won't do it. And they don't usually do it, but then again, I'm not like I said, there's a lot of stuff that NXT is doing that I don't recognize. It's not like, really, in NXT, really a goofy comedy triple 2-against-1 handicap match, really? This is what we're doing. So I'm not putting it past anyone to do that, to break my perceptions of NXT moving forward.
Well, we got 2 bulls in a china shop, my friend, and 1 from Worcester. This match, oh my God, that intro, now that they have Scarlett not singing, is just hypnotizing even more.
Mm-hmm. I like it more too.
These 2 guys are bulls in china shop. This is literally what JR used to say, a slobber knocker, an old school drag out, beat the crap out of each other because somebody wants to make a point. Cross basically being strong, showing strength and his leverage with that headlock, trying to use the neck of Dom just to get the point across. These 2 guys are basically pretty much one of the strongest 2 guys in the room, if you have to exclude Keith Lee and stuff. But wow,
Hmm.
the plexiglass shot, the DDT cross hit. I never thought. I know Cross can go, but I never thought he would be taken to this level and be pushed this far. Um, Dijak rallies a series of strikes. Dom, for somebody who they don't know what they're going to be doing with soon, while he's still here, is showing how important he is for NXT. Towards the tail end of the match, Cross is basically cold staring, and you know, Dom loses while having his best friend, standing there, telling him, "Don't interfere, don't do it."
Hmm.
And now Lee's on the clock again. Tick tock, Lee on the clock. If this is Dom's send off match,
Hmm.
do you think it was the right move to do it? And honestly, do you see Lee having a long term reign going at with Cross at Takeover after Cross taking over 30? Or do you see the reign being as short it is and having Cross take the titles? Because people are
Um,
speculating just in the community that Cross is going to take the title off Lee at 30.
what? Okay, so first of all, to answer your first question about Dijakovic, I don't, um, I, I don't think he has anything left to give in NXT. I don't think there's anything left for him to do there. He has to be moved on to one of the other shows. Like they haven't done anything with him really, outside of him being enhancement talent for Keith Lee. you know, outside of that, I don't see, I don't see why they keep him around really. So good on him if he, good on him if he gets moved up because I just don't know what they could have him do in NXT moving forward. Um, I like the idea of Keith Lee versus Killer Cross, and it kind of, you and I, we've recently watched some John Cena and AJ Styles matches, right? And one of the things when we talked about it, when we were talking about these matches that we watched, one of the things that I liked about a title match between Styles and Cena was the unpredictability of it. Like just the fact that you have two really strong, protected stars. You go into this match and you're like, there's no clear cut winner. There's no way that you can cut with a knife and say, look, it's going it's going to be this person here, or this one is going to retain. He can't lose to this. Kind of like with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. It's like there's no way Drew is losing to these guys, kind of thing. So this is the opposite here. We've got Keith Lee, who's been super strong. Killer Cross, who's been super strong. I don't know what's going to happen, and I like it. I absolutely love the idea of going into a takeover, a main event, and being like, it could literally go either way at this point. Personally, if you're asking me, I think Ciampa costs Killer Cross the title in some sort of fashion because WWE, they really like Keith Lee. My God, they like him. They really, really do.
To me, this match was inevitable. As soon as Cross basically signed, these two were going to go at it real fast, real quick. It's two freight trains on the same track going towards each other, ready for impact. I'm right with you,
Impact?
Lee.
Are you saying what? Are you saying that they're jumping to Impact Wrestling, Pat?
No, I'm saying that basically they're on a head-on collision course with each other.
You said Impact. I think you're sending some subliminal messaging out there.
I don't know. Rob's watching Impact while watching us, so maybe I'm paying attention to the chat too. But anyways, DMGC said that they got a Rocky. DGMC said they're gonna
Never heard
Rocky
of them.
for this, and
What?
it if what I think if we're gonna go movie wise, the closest thing you can come to for a Rocky movie would be the first one with these two. Just because Lee is so high up there for WWE right now, and Cross is obviously higher on their end, and they're almost on equal parts on two different spectrums.
Yeah.
someone's got to win, and it's going to be an interesting Takeover 30. The way they're setting this up, it should be interesting.
We'll see what happens, but I mean, it's intriguing. I'll give you that much.
So, I know I put a poll up, but somehow a 5-hour poll pulled 10 people, and one of the ideas was to skip SmackDown, and another 40% said keep things the same. So we got to keep things the same. Sorry about the other 40%. You can't break even when the rest of the stuff is all keep. So what do you think about the foreshadowing for this past SmackDown? Like, what were your thoughts of the show overall?
Yeah, there was I mean, just running it back into my head. There was some good stuff on it. There was actually some really good wrestling on it. I'm just glad that we don't have to speak of Jeff Hardy and Sheamus ever again together. That's all.
Yeah, that's
my main takeaway.
Anything they've been doing with Jeff and Sheamus, I've cringed the entire time. The promo with the golden role models, that's what Cole calls them now. That they're the definition of greatness. They're doing what they're supposed to do. These are pretty much, and I know people will probably kill me for this, at this point in 2020, Sasha and Bayley are the 1 and 2 of the entire women's division, including NXT. I know people are going to call me for that, but
Pat, not just the women's division. They're carrying both shows. Carrying both shows.
Even if they're carrying both shows, they're still, with NXT to me, is the top brand right now as the way things are. With all the talent they have and how they're making new... I mean, Reed is going to be a star regardless, but still, with all the different things. The women's division, completely, you have EO, and that whole division in NXT is deep. But I still think Sasha and Bayley are, if you carry in all three brands, you put Sasha and Bayley with those tag titles back into NXT, what's the first thing you're going to talk about? You're going to talk about the tag match against Sasha and Bayley.
But, and I agree, but I'm just going a little step forward, and I'm just not talking about the women's division. They're carrying the shows. I don't think there's anyone who's been as consistently good, entertaining, and fun to watch in the ring as Sasha and Bayley have been for the past couple of months now. They've been WWE.
I mean, if you had to do a top 5, who would your top 5 be?
Top 5 what?
Women in WWE running for 2020 right now.
I'd say Bayley Banks, Asuka. Then it gets a little tricky. Sonya Deville has been doing good work when she's there, and since the beginning of the year,
just in general at this point, yeah.
Okay, so let me revise then. Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, Asuka, Sonya Deville. That'd be my top 5.
For me right now, it's Bayley, Banks, interchangeable 1 and 2. EO, just for that triple performance, and that performance with Tegan, just match wise, was a masterpiece in their own right. That made EO's title reign a threat. Because she had Tegan, she had Rhea a little bit. That shows that she is now the women's standard in NXT. You have literally Tegan and Dakota going back and forth, but they're not top 5. They're probably 6 and 7. I mean, right now, the way things are, Nikki.
I thought I think she's underperforming in the ring personally. I like her match with Bayley at Extreme Rules. It didn't do it for me. I didn't hate it, didn't think it was bad, but it didn't live up to it. Don't get me wrong. Again, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, don't get me wrong. I like Nikki Cross. I just don't think that she's stepping it up kind of thing.
But really, after EO, I think it's Asuka and Alexa. if straight out.
Alexa.
Think
That's
about
about
it. The thing about it is that if you have to look at it a different way, think outside of the box, right? Alexa on SmackDown, other than Bailey, it.
what?
My Amazon just went off. I have one of those Echo shows, and I said,
Oh, okay. So it's not. It's not that Alexa. You were okay. Hey
yeah,
Alexa. Oh, it won't hear me because you're on. Okay.
yeah. But Sean does it, and he hears it like clear as day. But it for me for the whole body of the year so far, with them having the tag titles, and then Alexa literally, you know, making especially this match, as much as she lost this match, it the body of work she's done so far in this year, and you're gonna disagree with me on this, is been a lot stronger. It has been since she's had the women's titles, the single titles, and going for the tag titles. It's pretty much helping her do everything. I can honestly see, and this ain't gonna be popular, that Alexa going down to NXT and saying she needs one title she doesn't have, and that's the NXT title, and you could always have Alexa versus Io.
Sure. I mean, and I like Alexa Bliss. I just don't think she's been a player at all this year, and that's fine. That's the way she's booked. If we're talking about women this far in 2020 that have had a huge impact in WWE, I don't think you can keep Charlotte Flair out of the conversation. You really can't. You really can't.
I'm not doing that, keeping them out of the conversation. Obviously, the 4 horsewomen are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. But for the sake of,
I'd argue Becky wasn't that much of a factor this year. I wouldn't. She was great, but as far as people stepping up and running with the proverbial ball and being absolutely amazing, I think you have 3 of the 4 horsewomen in there. You have Asuka and you have Sonya Deville, who have been absolutely fantastic.
well,
Cornerstones.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things where it's like any of these people can be in these spots the way WWE does it.
Oh,
but do you think it's right for them to break Nikki and Alexa up now? After if you're not gonna this match,
if you're not gonna break up Sasha and Bailey, you gotta break someone up. Break up a relationship for me. I mean, all these people with super stable relationships. It's my God. What about the people who are suffering and want to see some disarray in people's lives? What if my life is too perfect and I want to see some mayhem? Right? Just break it up. Break it up.
Well, a lot of the stuff towards the tail end of the match, the tornado DDT that Nikki tries, it's blocked. The powerbomb by Alexa, the pin that she attempted got kicked out. She went for Twisted Bliss, but that got blocked too.
Sure.
This match was really good.
It was fun. I liked it.
And the crossbody that Nikki missed with all the pain she is. But that roll up, they've been doing this recently in the women's matches where the match is completely strong, really good, and it just ends on a thud. But Nikki, do you think Nikki's going to be the heel in this whole relationship with Alexa?
Oh no, you got to bring heel Alexa back. Oh my God, no, I'm done with smiling baby face Alexa. She has so little personality. I'm actually looking forward to her coming back and cutting more Mean Girl promos. I'm looking forward to it.
So the Firefly Funhouse, the Bray said Braun is kind of trapped in there, and he came out talking about the Fiend. I've said this on the show before, and I'll say it again. Bray is this generation's Mick Foley. Straight up, because Foley had Doolove, Cactus Jack, Mankind, and he even wrestled under his own name periodically too.
Sure.
Whereas Bray has the Happy Bray, as I call him, the Wyatt family Bray, and you also have the Fiend.
Oh, and you have Eater of Worlds Bray on top of that.
So it's just it's so creative and how amazing this. But as everybody knew, they were going to go down the line of all Bray's, personality traits, as you want to call them, or the psychological as his
There's different
character,
characters, his aspects.
The disorder he would have. And the promo was amazing. Cole kept calling him the Brodacious Bo for Riddle, though, going to that. This match pretty much with Nice was a squash match type match. Nice shouldn't be dealing with this at all.
He's too good.
Yeah, and the Bro Derek, it's kind of like short-lived. Nice gets some offense into it, but I mean, he hits the Bro Derek, and then the King's Ransom happens. So what do you think about going after Riddle? Do you think you can get the ransom?
We're talking about Baron Corbin.
Yeah, the greatest heel supposedly in the business.
As long as Baron Corbin is still wearing the goofy crown, I have no interest in him at all. The thing is that he can have really good matches, and that's what I'm looking forward to. That's all I want out of Baron Corbin. The rest is just so heavy-handed and dull. I just can't handle it.
Yeah, the whole line about sending him Riddle back to 205, that he should go to 205 Live in NXT. That was
which is stupid. Why would you bury the other brands? It's such a WWE thing to do. It's like, you can't make it up here. Why don't you go to one of the suck brands? I'm like, for real though. It's such a stupid WWE thing to do. To be like, hey guys, these two other brands that we're running, they suck. I want the guys who I think suck here to go on the suck brands. I don't understand. I really don't.
It doesn't make any sense either, especially if you want to segue to the Miz TV. That whole, they just basically wasted an opportunity with Naomi right there on Miz TV, because of the whole thing about give Naomi a chance that trended too.
Why didn't they just let Naomi have a match? Just go right into it. Why did we because we knew about it. We knew about the hashtag because we're fans. And then Michael Cole can get on the microphone and said, all this week, ladies and gentlemen, on Twitter, people have been trending for Naomi, give Naomi a chance, or Naomi deserves better. And it was such a great move. Just let her wrestle. That's how tone deaf WWE is. We want her to wrestle. We want to. It's not sitting down and trying to be cutesy with John Morrison. That's not what we want. We want her to get in the ring and wrestle. We want her to perform. So it's like, oh yeah, there's the fans want this, and thank you fans and all that. But thank the fans by putting her in wrestling matches. It's not hard.
Asinine. It really is asinine. And the thing about it with Naomi is she's so good. Mm-hmm. But I can also put this towards Miz and Morrison. I mean, yeah, they had the tag titles at one point. Mm-hmm. But God, give Miz a shot at the IC title. I mean, his best stuff is with the IC title.
And he deserves. He's like, here's one thing that's still surprising to me, Pat. I'm shocked that WWE hasn't put Miz back into an IC title program just to beat Chris Jericho's record, because Jericho has the record for most reigns in WWE right now. And you know how petty WWE can be with stuff, right? So
I think for them,
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know why they haven't done it yet.
I think the reason being is they want Jericho to put Miz over, but that will never happen. Morrison deserves a little bit better. You know, it is what it is. But we finally get what we've been wanting. Big E push. About bloody damn time. I kind of think that they're going to end up, they give Middle East the whole, which that 4-way dance was awesome Friday night.
That was fantastic. It was such a good match.
But with Kofi saying he's going to be out for a little while, I think, and I was going to ask you, do you think this could lead to the IC title, or after SummerSlam when Drew Orton's done, for having a Kofi-esque run with Big E with the title for a little bit.
The thing is it really wouldn't be hard. I think the IC title makes sense, especially when you have a guy like AJ being the champ. I think it'd work. It would probably be a match that people would get a lot more behind if outside of it, rather than something than a program with Bray Wyatt. Because I kind of think that Bray Wyatt is winning the title at SummerSlam. Or if Braun Strowman maintains, Braun has been dull as dirt as Universal Champion. I think the more interesting build-up, the more interesting match, honestly, is Big E and AJ Styles. It's something that I think inherently more fans want to see. It's one that I want to see a lot more than Big E versus Bray or Big E versus than Braun. Big E versus Styles, pretty sure it's never happened, and it'd be fresh, so it would be fresh. And AJ knows how to work with the bigger guys. He'd sell his ass off for Big E. I'm just really glad that Big E's getting a championship push, whatever, or a singles push anyway, and wherever it goes. And they didn't have to break up the New Day to do it either. Good job.
They're not going to break up the New Day, period. That's in the promo that AJ could cut it for the IC title. Says, you've been clowning around for so long. You're in the background. Now you're in the forefront. Maybe you should be serious instead of being a little kid. Kind of go that way. But this 4-way dance, oh my God. I don't want to get into specifics because we still have to talk about Raw. But, oh my God. I think, and I'm never going to call him this, Shorty G. His name's Chad Gable. We're going to stand by Chad Gable in this show, and that's that.
Sure.
Oh my God. Him and Drew, oh my God. These guys, give them a match at SummerSlam. Brian right now is with his wife, with Brie, because they're ready to have their child. Just probably soon.
Also COVID.
Yeah. And why not let these two go? That would be a SummerSlam match that I would be invested in to see, because I don't think they've gone on a main roster show yet.
Hey, this is how wild this stuff is. How crazy is it if you put 4 really talented wrestlers in the ring and you let them go, and all of a sudden you get a good match? Go figure.
Well, you got a slap fest at the end, but this match was really good overall. It actually impressed. AJ was extremely impressed with Gable. He even mentioned it a few times in commentary. But the springboard elbow, gives Metalik a shot next week. I think if it's done right, it would be a good match. But for me, I'm hoping it is for Friday. But if it's not, then I'm just going to watch AJ just demolish Metalik, which is sad. He deserves it. Yeah. But Otis and Mandy are back as of Friday. That should be interesting. I'm really
starting to think that Sonya has COVID. At least I hope that's why. And they're not just benching her. I'm really starting to think that she was one of those who tested positive and she's staying at home. And she should.
Well, I was going to say, with Sonya and Ziggler now out of the picture for right now, what do you think is next for Mandy and Otis? Hey, and I'll even throw Tucker in the mix.
I was going to say, I think the most logical thing to do is to get Heavy Machinery back in order, because Shinsuke and Cesaro is a fun they're a fun championship combination, but you got to get some tag teams in there. Bring Heavy Machinery back together. I still think Otis should cash in as a tag team, not just solo. I think it'd be fun. It's something we've never seen before. It'd be different. I like different things. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting because with Cesaro and Shinsuke, it's a little kind of different. Plus, if you bring Heavy Machinery back, you actually can use Mandy as kind of like, and this is going to be a bad comparison, but at least it's close, is a Zelina figure where she could wrestle here and there. obviously we know Mandy could go a lot more than Selena can, but you could have her in those tag spots where she's on TV, people notice her, kind of like the old Trish Stratus. And I know that's a hardcore comparison because Mandy got that when she came up, about just by the look of it. That you have Heavy Machinery in her, it kind of reminds you of, Test and Albert, kind of back in the 90s. So that kind of look where if they're bringing old school monikers back, But this
I just go as far as to say that Mandy Rose already is a better wrestler than Trish Stratus has been.
Ooh,
that's my hot take.
Yeah, that's walking on a thin line right there. That's blasphemy to some people.
Oh, I know, but hey, nostalgia taints a lot, right? It really does. And see, I don't want to get into it. but the thing is that, if Trish is, and no disrespect to Trish Stratus, because okay, I'll go all in, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible, Patrick. Bear with me. All due respect to Trish Stratus, she was in a shit time in wrestling as a woman. An absolutely shit time. When Sable, who could barely muster a proper smile as far as effort goes, was considered the top woman in the company, and was barely able to smile properly, couldn't cut a promo without sounding like she needed to blow her nose. That's the kind of that's the kind of thing that Trish Stratus had to deal with. And she wasn't content about being just eye candy. So she fought to try to fight on TV and be taken seriously. Good for her. And she did do major steps. Now, if you want to dial this back and take a look as in the context where she was, yes, Trish Stratus was one of the best female workers in WWE at the time. She was. But then again, at the same time, when she was wrestling, she had legitimate career wrestlers like Miss Jackie and Ivory who were around with her, Mickey James, who were legitimate wrestlers, trained wrestlers who were fantastic at what they did and could run circles around Trish. Not that Trish was completely incompetent, but she was kind of like a Rock or a Hulk Hogan. She had a limited moveset, but the moves that she did them really well. She knew how to tell a story. She knew how to bump. She understood ring psychology. She had lots of great attributes in that respect. Mandy Rose, she's trained as a wrestler. She has a great skill set. She learns all the time. She's constantly improving. We're in two completely different eras. But if you're going to take them side by side, to me, there's no question. Right now, Mandy Rose is a better wrestler than Trish Stratus has ever been.
Hey, DGMC, do me a favor. If you can tweet Anakin to get a hold of that, that would be an awesome meme.
Who are you talking? D what? I don't know who you're talking to.
Or Joel.
Shout out to Anakin, though.
Yeah. Dude's doing a lot with those memes right there. And those gifs and stuff. This bar fight, I liked how it started. And I liked Sheamus's look just for the nostalgia piece.
That was funny. I got a giggle out of me.
But Jeff talking about how Matt deleted his WWE career, and basically Sheamus in the monologue saying how he's weak and Jeff is weak and stuff like that. But Sheamus looked like, if you looked at the old pictures of the 1920s Irish boxers, he looked exactly like that.
I think you should keep the gimmick, honestly.
That it would make more sense that way because he is a freaking fighter in a general. But I really am just going to skip this just because it's this regurgitated thing. The only cool thing that happened was when Sheamus put the hat down and all of a sudden he lifted up and Hardy was in the paint and, the contacts were like clear white.
He became Peter Criss from Kiss. Yes.
I like the whole analogy of, and Sean said this on Friday, I think, that this kind of reminded him, or well, it reminded me at least. You ever watch Family Guy?
Yes. The
Chicken and Peter constantly fighting each other. This kind of reminded me of that and let them fight, but if they took Hardy's addiction out of the whole thing and just let them go, it would have been a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Orton, everybody got what they wanted. Orton said he's going after Drew, going after McIntyre for SummerSlam. But the promo was really good, and Orton's doing a lot of good things with all these promos he's cutting.
Yeah. Yes, I'm glad that they didn't put out another legend for him to kill. I'm good. I think it's fine. This is a match that Drew's reign needs. This is a match that Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship reign is in desperate need of. Again, Drew has been doing outstanding work. Absolutely, I've been a top tier fan of everything he's done since he's become WWE champion. Outside of the match against Big Show on the Monday following WrestleMania, everything he's done has been golden. I think it's been great. His matches with Seth have been great. His match with Bobby Lashley, both matches with Drew have been great. But they're all people, all matches where you're like, Drew's not dropping the title to this guy, you know? Sure, Seth might have been a contender if they had waited a little more down the line to create some unpredictability, but there's no way that Drew was dropping the title on his first series of defenses after WrestleMania, right? Then Bobby Lashley wasn't built strong enough to be really credible. Dolph is Dolph. Dolph is never winning a title ever again, you know?
I think they dropped the ball on this, though.
On bringing Orton in?
Yeah.
Really?
Majorly, yeah. The reason being, and I agree with this perspective, is that until recently, against the match, like about a week ago or so, you had one. If you're going by just the way AEW does it, if you're just going to go by that, by record, Black had a hot streak and he hadn't lost until that point last week. If you're going to do that as perspective, he should be going against Drew.
I know what you mean. Okay, I understand what you mean. What I'm talking about is Drew McIntyre at this point hasn't defeated like a real big star in a moment where you're like, this could go either way. Randy Orton right now, the way he's been booked since WrestleMania, makes perfect sense. He's like, in the promo, he said it himself. It's like, I get to decide when I want, where I want. I want the title at SummerSlam. And you're like, I'm okay. I'm into this. And he's a bona fide legend who can still go as far as WWE goes, and has shown that when properly motivated, he's not boring old Randy Orton in the ring. He can be actually a lot of fun to watch. You put him in with Drew, if it has such a great air of big, it has the big match feel. As much as I'm an Aleister Black fan, and despite the fact that he has had a close to undefeated streak, he's never been portrayed as a big deal. He just hasn't. And this, as long as WWE doesn't treat someone like a big deal, he's not a big deal. So that's why they never mentioned the undefeated streak, really. Because if they wanted to turn Aleister into a huge deal, they could, just by saying Aleister Black hasn't been defeated since July in 2019 kind of thing. And like, wow, okay, he hasn't, and you build up to that. But they didn't. And he lost on a Raw in a nothing match against Seth Rollins. So you know that he's not considered a big deal. Randy Orton is a big deal. He's a big deal in the eyes of the fans. He's a big deal as far as kayfabe and story goes. Drew needs this fight to consecrate the fact that he's not a flash in the pan. He's not just defeating upper mid-carders who think that they're important. He defeated Randy Orton, and that's going to be a big deal.
I agree, and I also disagree. So, I mean...
My God, man, how is that possible?
Anything is possible. I'm from around Boston. Come on now. Other than that, the line of the whole promo to me is that when Orton said that 10 years ago, Drew had his head up his ass the whole time, and then he got fired. That was pretty much it. And then Nia walks out. Oh my fucking god. She seems like a good person, but God, have somebody talk for her, please. She mentions Charlotte about how she took Charlotte out, and then Shayna comes out, and I'm just gonna skip their match because it's the same thing.
It's not a match. So it's not a match.
It's just them fighting.
It's not even a match. It lasted less than a minute. That's not a match. It's nothing. It's not even a squash. It didn't even finish with a decision. It's just like finish with a decision. They were both counted out. Have you noticed that Nia Jax, like her constant mood is like, I think her constant mood is somewhat annoyed. Like she never gets angry. She doesn't get like frustrated. Everything is just like an inconvenience. She's always like, yeah, well, what are you doing here? Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, you want to hit me in the face? Well, hit me in the face. Oh, you hit me in the face, I'm going to hit you back. I'd like her to show some real emotion. That'd be nice.
Or personality more than she is.
Well, those go hand in hand.
Yeah. Or better yet, instead of using the Samoan drop, use what she did when she came back. She used Paige's finish just like as an homage because it's her best friend. But still, let her keep using it. Mm-hmm. I wish my Ivar was around because this is the segment that Charlie was part of, and that would be awesome him to say, yeah, you're the cute one, not so much. But that's neither here nor there. But, this match was pretty good. I mean, other than Ricochet looking dumb halfway through the match with that spot with Andrade when they were focusing on Eric.
Babyface is looking dumb? What?
I mean, it's ridiculous. He deserves better. But you've got, commentary also doing ring announcement. You got the Profits. Garza and Andrade win with the wing clipper, and they're going to SummerSlam. That's going to be interesting because we've got that once. It should be interesting to see how they play it out again. So
Never doubt the strength of two singles guys in a tag team match in the eyes of Vince McMahon. Never mind your legitimate tag teams. Throw two singles guys together, and suddenly they're in title contention. God, WWE just gets under my skin sometimes.
Well, the women's tag titles have a new team building up right now, it seems. Because Liv's not around, which I really wish she was. You got Mark Henry talking to Ruby and Bianca, so that's going to be interesting and I could see them going after the titles eventually.
Just get Bianca on my television set. That's all I care about.
I mean, even put Liv back into there, and there you go. You got a rotating stable again. But Dom confronts him and, talks about the same thing they've been talking about for the last few weeks. Whole Ray's family, Dom, confronting everything. That kendo stick spot, the whole thing with Alistair. I'm getting really tired of seeing the whole thing with Ray and the eye and then rehashing the whole thing over and over again. But by God, that kid could swing a kendo stick. Oh my God, that thing was obliterated towards the end of this. What are your thoughts on them trying to make Murphy look strong about this with Black and trying to save face with Seth? Because obviously it seems like they're leaning towards Dom actually making his wrestling introduction to wrestling to the whole thing with SummerSlam possibly.
I am 100% okay with Buddy Murphy getting his own. As Kevin Owens said at the pay-per-view, I think he's too good to be in Seth Rollins' shadow. I really do. He's too good to be second banana. The way I saw this throwback, to me, this is Aleister Black, former NXT champion, one of the cornerstones of the division of the brand when he was there, a guy that they pushed to have a or who was booked really strong to have an undefeated streak and was doing great things. Here's a guy who needed to be saved by Rey Mysterio's son, who is not an active wrestler in WWE. Who books this shit? Seriously. Seriously, though.
We shouldn't have to ask.
I know we don't know, but it still bears that eternal question. Last week, Alistair gets his arm ripped off, and now his eye. What, are they writing him off TV? Why was Aleister Black being the guy fighting for Rey Mysterio by proxy over the past few weeks? Why was it Aleister Black teamed up with goddamn Dale Gass to feud with Seth Rollins by proxy? All of my Aleister Black fears are coming true, because when that's all I saw. It's like the heels take out Aleister Black completely, and he's saved by Rey Mysterio's son, who is not an active WWE wrestler. I hate it. And on top of that, like you said, and I completely agree, leave us alone with the eyeball stuff. It's a meme now. No one took it seriously before, but since extreme horror at the Rules show, whatever it was called, we no longer, the joke is done. It's not even funny anymore. It's stupid. We all admit it's stupid. You had fucking Booker T at the pre-show who was corpsing when Renee was talking about the eyeball, the eye for an eye rules. You could see him was going, trying to keep us cool. It's stupid. It's all stupid. You got to let this go. And
yeah,
I was really hopeful as far as Aleister Black goes. I was really, really hopeful. They completely ruined him.
I was trying to explain to somebody who works for me that about the extreme horror show, whatever you want to call it, that instead of the swamp fight reminded me of A House of Thousand Corpses. If you ever seen that movie, the Rob Zombie horror movie.
That was actually good.
Yeah, but I'm talking about just like the camera stuff and all the changes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And
there were tropes. There were definitely tropes.
And I dumbed it down to A House of 100 Corpses. So
I could have called it a House of 100 Bad Ideas, if you ask me.
Yeah, but the Hurt Business in the ring, I'm glad Ali's back. I wish they kept the whole hacker gimmick, though.
Why? Hang on. You're glad Ali's back. We're all glad Ali's back. So, of course, we have to cool him down and have him lose. We have to cool him down, Pat. He's coming in too hot. People are way too excited. And then that's what the left hand does. In the meantime, the right hand, being Vince McMahon, he goes on conference calls and he says, we're committed to creating new stars. Fuck you, Vince. For real, though. This is exactly the problem. Ali comes back. Everyone's excited. The week after, have him lose clean. What the fuck?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's like a low-end squash. But the thing for me is that I think, and as much as this is going to be a hot take, and people can isolate this, I really don't care.
Cool.
They should have kept the hacker gimmick on him, because the way they could have made it with MVP, if that hacker gimmick was on Raw, about the whole title belt and stuff, is have him as the hacker show MVP talking crap about everybody, including everybody in the Hurt Business, and then all of a sudden they just post it on there. I mean, that gimmick was really good, and it wasn't used properly, but if they kept it running and kept it as hot as it was, introduced Ali as it, that would have been great.
Sure.
But this match, and I'll ask you this question because I have it right here. Sasha and Asuka can go. We already know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that there was one note that I basically put on here that it was because of the rules of this whole thing with Asuka, the spot where, and I had to explain this to my friend who was here today, um, about Eddie Guerrero. That Eddie Guerrero
Yeah, the
montage
yeah.
spot was really good. These guys going at it, counter for counter, submission for submission. It got to the point where, Asuka had to pick her friendship over a title. Kairi beaten down and having Asuka to choose is this way this match ended, which shouldn't have been like this.
No. Why is it so hard to give us a nice strong finish for a women's title? Why? Why is it so hard to give us a strong finish? Like, don't get me wrong. I am in love with the 2-woman power trip. I love it. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted Sasha and Bayley to have all the women's belts, and that's exactly what happened. I'm thrilled for it. And I'm an Asuka fan on top of that. So I see that this is best for business. I'm going to ask you this straight off the bat, Pat. Who put the video up on the Titantron? Who decided to put that up there?
I think Pritchard and Vince.
Okay. Yes, but I'm talking in story, because there's no reason for that to have been put up there, right?
No, there shouldn't have been there, period.
So how is that not insulting us?
It fully is. And they have a habit of doing this. They did it with Matt, with beating him down. Mm-hmm. It's with all the stuff Kairi has done. Yeah, she didn't win any major titles except for the tag titles on the main roster. She won the NXT title, and everybody loved her. You read tweets and how much love she's gotten out. It's insane.
Oh, for sure. This
is not the right end for her to go out on.
She should have gone out losing a match, the traditional way. I think that's how she should have gone. That's how she should have disappeared. But besides, WWE should have managed her career much better than what they did. She's been a fan favorite in North America since the Mae Young Classic. So it takes a talent. It's not just mistakes anymore. It takes a talent. You have to be talented enough to ruin so many careers, Pat. I really do.
The whole thing afterwards with 2 belts Banks. I mean, I told everybody last week, I think, if I can remember right, but seeing Sasha's progression from wrestling down the street at the Polish club in Lowell, where I'm from, to all the way where she is, because a lot of the people like Dominic Dijak and all that stuff came from a Chaotic. I mean, her name wrestling as Mercedes KV and going all the way here. It's interesting to see how she's gone, but God, these guys are doing such great work, and Asuka going off looking dejected was just heartbreaking a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, I'm not going to even... We already mainly talked about Murphy, but, this kid. Carrillo, where was he? Everybody keeps asking that.
Dale Gass is a mystery to me. He's a mystery wrapped into an enigma. I don't see what people in WWE see in him. Like, he's not a bad wrestler, far from it. He can do outstanding things. He's a good aerial artist. He does the flips. He's really good, but there's tons of other wrestlers who have the same type of moveset he does, and some of them do them better and have more charisma and connect much easier with the audience than he does. I don't understand why he's featured so prominently all the time.
They got to move Murphy along.
Yep.
Simple as that.
But good on him for getting the singles window.
We don't have to talk about the main event. It was already predetermined, but that RKO at the end, that was the first silo that started this feud right here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I liked the match, though. I thought it ruled.
Match was very physical, very brutal. But, I mean, the Claymore is the same way. It started just the same thing as the horror show. It just ended the same way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And I'm like we talked about earlier on, like we said, I'm really excited at the prospect of Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, because Drew needs this match. He needs it for his title run. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
So tell a novice like me about New Japan what's been going on.
Well, New Japan Pro Wrestling they came back. They came back in June. Started shows back in June. They shut everything down when COVID popped up in Japan. Everything's pretty much back under control, and they started back in June to much excitement from the New Japan fandom, and have started actually doing shows in front of live audiences, Pat, with social distancing and rules, testing, very, very strict guidelines that have been very, very well laid out by New Japan backstage with their staff, their talent. It's fantastic stuff. So we're all, as New Japan fans go, we're really excited to see it back. Plus, with live audiences, it's good.
Hey, what got me curious, because I watched the same press conference as you did, and I was just curious what they were gonna do. Like I know what New Japan is. I know what they do. I just don't have the opportunities as a lot of people to watch a lot of things at once.
Sure.
Especially with the hours I work at my full-time job.
No, it's a
and
commitment.
Stuff like that.
I agree.
But
because here in North America, the shows run live like at 2, 4, 5 a.m. So it's a commitment.
But them announcing at that press conference about going, doing live events with people, it made me pique my interest to see what's next here.
Mm-hmm.
But
they just announced a show. Their big summer show, Summer Struggle, is going to take place in a baseball park.
Sounds familiar.
but that's it, and it's a big deal. I think it's the first time in 21 years since they've been there. It's an outside venue. And they're going to do the social distancing and whatnot. I think it's a 28,000 seat stadium. I mean, they're gonna pack it with 14,000 people. So I mean, that's cool. It's a good thing. But hey, if you've never watched New Japan, the main difference between what we're used to in North America here and in Japan is that it's still treated as a sport. It's still athletic competition before anything else. The angles, the stories that happen between wrestlers all happen in the ring. There are no skits backstage. There are no pre-match promos. In New Japan, one guy gets an in-ring promo per night, and it's the winner of the main event. That's it. Otherwise, no one gets mic time. But it's still, that's the thing, is that it's all treated like a sport still. So it's very different from what we're used to here. So the stories are really entirely based on, are entirely dependent on the wrestlers. Are they able to tell good in-ring stories? Are they able to build it properly, convey the proper emotions in ring so that we can get invested in it? So it's a whole different level of appreciation. And I think right now, it's probably the best moment to get into New Japan if you haven't before, because the return, since they've returned in June, there's been a soft reset button on a lot of things, on a lot of angles, a lot of directions they were going. It's really like when you follow a season of one of your favorite shows, and then you get to the cliffhanger at the end, and then the next season starts, and they're getting rid of a whole bunch of the old cast, and you're getting into something fresh, right?
It's the equivalent of The Walking Dead.
Or I've watched it up to season 4, but from what I understand, Fear the Walking Dead, which was the spin-off series, I think they killed off most of the cast in season 2 because season 1 wasn't very good, and now apparently season 2 moving forward is really good. I think that's what it is. Anyway.
Yeah. But what do you got planned for August, my friend, since we're turning the page and literally we're 3 days out?
Well, hey, I've got lots of Mr. Warren Hayes shows. That's what I've got. I don't know, planning. I don't plan stuff. Do you think I put thought into what I do? My goodness. No, every Thursday night, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. So I'm doing one again this week and all throughout August. Well, this week isn't August, but all throughout August. In fact, the first show of August is going to be pre-recorded. Won't be live because I'll be traveling on that day, not this Thursday, the following Thursday. But otherwise, it's going to be juicy, fun times per usual on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. So I hope you guys get a chance to check it out. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Also, you can hit up his Patreon too. It's interesting.
Oh, thank you, sir.
For the show here, we have a lot. It's going to be Boston-based for the most part because SummerSlam is next month. And also we have NXT. I have something in the can that will be dropping SummerSlam week with Warren. There's something coming up that will be dropping with Sean about WrestleMania 14 about Boston. I've got a couple. I have a very special guest. Hopefully, I can land this person on SummerSlam week. If not, that's fine. We got our boy Rob coming in hot, and being all wicked and stuff. It's gonna be one wicked pisso, Warren.
I have sure.
And then and then at the end of the month, I'm gonna try to get somebody to come in, and September will be back to the old way for 1 week, and we'll figure it out as we go, like usual. But other than that, what's your handle on Twitter, my friend?
Mr. Warren Hayes. Jeez, that's simple.
All right. Hope you guys have fun tonight. Got over the 90-minute mark at this point. I think this is going to be becoming the norm as everything goes, which is not that bad. But, hit up Fightful.com. Obviously, promoting it constantly because it's good stuff. Promoting Warren. Warren does good stuff. Warren, you're on tomorrow night, right?
Oh, yeah. Wednesday, of course. The Wednesday nights, of course. Wednesday Night Wars with Alex Pulaski and Louis Dangour. We're going to break down the Wednesday Night Wars.
You got the Canadian Mountain. You got the Canadian Mountie tomorrow. You've got the American representative, and you got the British King over there on Wednesday nights with you. You've got Jeremy Lambert on Fridays with Sean. You've got Denise Salcedo, a staple, the queen of Taylor Swift land, which I think her and Jeremy always talk about that stuff. What I hear, but other than that, all the descriptions on the bottom. Become a Patreon member on Fightful. Hey, I mean, even hit me up. I'm Throwback978 on Twitter. You could also find me, I have a Twitch account. Don't use it much, but hopefully down the line I could set that up. But hope you guys have fun. Have a safe night. Just be kind to each other and do a good deed. Even though it's 90 degrees weather here around Massachusetts. I don't know what the temperature is in your neck of the woods, but just do a good deed. Pay it forward. With everything with COVID, it's kind of a sign that life's too short. Also, before I forget, donate. Go to the GoFundMe for Wild Boy. Help him out. He's a great dude, that could be a pay it forward kind of thing. We lose sight on a lot of things, and a lot of other things in life are more important. So have a good night. Much love, much respect, and just have fun. And justice for GMC.